We live in a results-obsessed world. Everything is about the outcome, the grade, the promotion, the trophy. We measure success by what we achieve, not by how we achieve it. But what if focusing on results is actually preventing you from getting the results you want? What if the secret to extraordinary performance isn't thinking about winning, but perfecting the process? This story will revolutionize how you approach any skill or goal. In Phoenix, Arizona, lived a 24-year-old college student named Marcus. He was studying business at Arizona State University, but his real passion was archery. Marcus had been shooting since high school and dreamed of making the U.S. Olympic team. He practiced every day, determined to become one of the best archers in the country. Despite years of practice and natural talent, Marcus was struggling to improve. He could hit the target consistently, but his scores weren't reaching the elite level needed for serious competition. During tournaments, he would get nervous and perform worse than in practice. Marcus was obsessed with his scores. After every practice, he would calculate his average and get frustrated when the numbers didn't improve. During competitions, he would count points after each arrow, getting more tense as the match progressed. "I don't understand what's wrong," Marcus complained to his teammate Jessica after another disappointing tournament. "I know I can shoot better scores, but when it matters most, I fall apart." Jessica tried to encourage him. "Maybe you're putting too much pressure on yourself. You're always talking about scores instead of enjoying the sport." But Marcus couldn't let go of his focus on results. "How can I not think about scores? That's how archery is measured. That's what determines who makes the Olympic team." Marcus's frustration peaked during the regional championship. Despite months of preparation, he shot one of his worst scores of the year, while other archers performed better under pressure. That night, feeling defeated, Marcus visited his grandfather, Robert, who lived in Scottsdale. Robert was 72 and had been an accomplished archer, competing at the national level in the 1970s before injuries ended his career. Marcus found his grandfather practicing with a traditional wooden bow in his backyard. "Grandpa, I think I'm done with competitive archery," Marcus said. "I've been practicing for years, but I can't break through. I get too nervous in competitions." Robert set down his bow. "Marcus, when you're shooting an arrow, what are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking about where I want the arrow to go. I'm focused on hitting the center and getting the highest possible score." Robert nodded. "And how's that working for you?" Marcus felt embarrassed. "Not very well." Robert smiled. "I think I know your problem. You're shooting at the wrong target." Marcus looked confused. "The target is right there." "Come with me," Robert said. "I want to show you something that changed my entire approach to archery." Robert picked up his bow and nocked an arrow. "Marcus, watch carefully, but don't watch where the arrow goes. Watch what I do before I release it." Robert stood sideways, raised his bow, and drew the string back slowly. Marcus noticed his grandfather's movements were incredibly smooth. Robert took a deep breath and released the arrow in one fluid motion. The arrow hit the center, but Robert didn't look to see where it landed. "You hit a bullseye, but you didn't even look," Marcus said, puzzled. "Exactly. When I was your age, I had the same problem. I was obsessed with scores and performed terribly under pressure. Then I met an archery master named Tom, who taught me the most important lesson of my life." Robert paused. "Tom told me, you're aiming at the target, but you're not focused on the shot. The target will take care of itself if you perfect your process. Tom taught me to focus only on my form, breathing, stance, and release. He called it process focus versus outcome focus." Robert demonstrated again. "Watch my feet, positioned exactly the same every time. Notice my bow raise, smooth and controlled. See my draw, consistent anchor point. My breathing, I release at the end of each exhale." Marcus understood. So you focus on doing the same perfect process every time, rather than thinking about where the arrow will land? Exactly. When I stopped worrying about hitting the center and started focusing on executing perfect form, my accuracy improved dramatically, and I could perform consistently under pressure. Robert explained further. The target doesn't move. The only variable is your shot process. Perfect your process and execute it the same way every time, and results will take care of themselves. Over the next hour, Robert taught Marcus process-focused shooting techniques. Instead of thinking about scores, Marcus learned to focus on a mental checklist: stance, grip, draw, anchor, aim, breathe, release, follow through. Create a pre-shot routine that's exactly the same every time, Robert advised. This routine should occupy your mental attention, leaving no room to worry about outcomes. Robert also taught Marcus the archer's paradox. The more you think about hitting the target, the more likely you are to miss it. When Marcus returned to practice the following week, he applied his grandfather's teachings. Instead of calculating scores after each arrow, he focused entirely on executing his pre-shot routine perfectly. He stopped looking at where his arrows landed until he had completed his entire set. The change was remarkable. Marcus's shooting became more consistent, and he felt calmer and more focused during practice. More importantly, when the next tournament arrived, Marcus was able to maintain his concentration and execute his process despite the pressure. During the competition, Marcus didn't think about his score or his ranking. He simply focused on his routine: stance, grip, draw, anchor, aim, breathe, release, follow through. After each arrow, he would reset and begin the process again, treating each shot as an independent event. When the tournament ended, Marcus was surprised to learn he had shot his personal best score and qualified for the state championship. But what felt even better was that he had remained calm and focused throughout the entire competition. 6 months later, using his process-focused approach, Marcus made the national team and eventually competed in the World Championships. During his success interviews, he would always credit his grandfather's lesson about focusing on process rather than results. The funny thing is, Marcus would tell reporters, "When I stopped caring so much about my scores got better. When I stopped trying so hard to win, I started winning more often." The process became everything. The truth is, this principle applies to far more than archery. In every area of life, we get better results when we focus on perfecting our process rather than obsessing over outcomes. Students who focus on learning rather than grades often get better grades. Salespeople who focus on serving customers rather than closing deals often close more deals. Athletes who focus on technique rather than winning often win more competitions. This happens because outcome-focused thinking creates anxiety and distraction. When you're worried about results, part of your mental energy is occupied by fear, hope, and calculation, instead of being fully present in the moment. Process-focused thinking, on the other hand, keeps you grounded in the present moment and allows you to perform at your highest level. When you trust your process and execute it consistently, good results become inevitable. Think about an area of your life where you've been frustrated by your results. Maybe it's your job performance, your fitness goals, your relationships, or a skill you're trying to develop. Now ask yourself, have you been focusing more on the outcome you want or on perfecting the daily actions that lead to that outcome? What would happen if you stopped checking your progress so often and instead focused on executing your process perfectly every single day? What if you trusted the process like Marcus learned to trust his archery routine? Remember, you can't directly control results, but you can absolutely control your process. And when you master your process, the results will take care of themselves. If this story inspired you to shift from outcome focus to process focus, give it a like and share what process you're going to perfect in the comments. Remember, champions aren't made by thinking about winning, they're made by perfecting the process that leads to winning.